What if I told you you could have a team member that stayed up all night brainstorming for your business, wrote all your emails, organized all your systems, unsubscribed from your emails, and helped you scale your business for $20 a month? Because that is what happened in my business this week. I used Claude Co-Work like a team member. And honestly, I don't think people realize how powerful this stuff is and how it is going to completely change our industry. And we've got to jump on board. Welcome back to the CEO Photog Club. I'm your host, Kylie. This is where photographers come for more. More income, more systems, more freedom without burning out to get there. You're in the right room, so let's talk business. Today, I want to share some real life behind the scenes of how I'm using AI in my business. This is not going to be more theory or more AI is coming, we have to adapt, we have to learn. This is literally how I'm using Claude in my actual business. I also want to throw some disclaimers out there. We already talked about AI on the podcast a couple weeks ago. AI is not for replacing creativity. It's not for replacing human connection, and it's to replace the busy work, the bottlenecks, and the mental overload. It's to help simplify things and help me grow this business. Like I have a team member across from me brainstorming. I still lead the business. It just helps me move a little bit faster. Let's first talk about what photographers think AI could be used for. A lot of us have used it for our captions, for ChatGPT prompts, for coming up with better hooks. Those are all great ways to use AI, but that's the beginner version. And we're going to level up a little bit because we are the CEO Photog Club podcast where we are growing and scaling all these things. So the real power in AI is with systems, organization, speed, idea expansion, and decision fatigue reduction. So those are the ways that I've been using AI over the last few months, and it is literally changing everything for my business. I've started treating Claude, that's the AI program that I'm using, alongside ChatGPT. I have not got rid of that subscription. They are both super helpful in my daily business. I use ChatGPT for a quick, scan this email I just wrote and, polish it up or, quick things like that. And I'm using Claude for more powerful systems that we'll talk about today. So I'm treating Claude like an operations manager. It's a strategist. It's a brainstorming partner. It's doing really big things for me each week and helping me get really organized and streamlined and systemized in a lot of different ways. So some ways that I use AI that's really helpful for me is dumping all of my thoughts, kind of like a journal dump. I thought about doing this. I've thought about doing this. I love this. This is what I love about this person that's doing this. This is, this industry is what I like, that kind of thing. And I just dump all my thoughts out. And it helps me kind of put my ideas into different actually outcomes that could actually, help me grow. It helps me organize those ideas into different areas, into different spreadsheets, into different, even websites. It's helped me create out of nothing. It's helped me prioritize where to put my time. It's helped me rewrite communication so it's softer or clearer. Like if I'm like, hey, I want to send this email letting this person down, like we're not available on their date or I'm not the right fit for them for a coach or something like that. It helps me kind of polish those up. It helps me create outlines from voice notes. This week alone, it's touched almost every single part of my business. So let's talk about these different areas that AI has touched in my business this week. And let's start with Instagram. So as you guys know, I'm a big fan of using AI to help with content creation. I have the Photographer's Marketing Machine, which is still super relevant. It helps me create attraction posts, nurture posts. It helps me with education posts, call to actions, just hitting the right markets. It's helping me with my voice, all that kind of stuff. And I still use that all the time. But that's the beginner version. I use ChatGPT to help me polish up captions, organize hooks, turn one idea into multiple posts, take a story and turn it into nurturing content, all that kind of stuff. And that's still super helpful. But I am managing a lot of accounts. So I have Kylee Ann, which is my coaching account and kind of my personal brand. I have Kylee Ann Studios, which is our portrait account where we do family work, wedding work, seniors, newborns, that kind of stuff. I have the Kylee Ann commercial account, which is all of our brand photography, headshots, product, e-com. Then I have the podcast account, CEO Photog Club, which is obviously all the podcast stuff. And then I have my Bear Lake account for our vacation rental. And with all that, I just have a lot going on. And even though I have the Photographer's Marketing Machine, it's a lot of work to go in there each week and to say, okay, I need captions for this account. Okay, now I need captions for this account. Now I need this for this account. And so what I did was I took my system and put it on steroids. And instead of just using ChatGPT, which I still use for one-off all the time content, I created a machine through Claude Co-Work that will now analyze my data each week and then spit out a week of content and have it ready for me on my desktop Monday morning when I get on my computer of all the content that I can create that is filling holes in my own content. And it's also hitting like my industry trends in my niche. So this is what's super awesome. So let me explain this a little bit better because you're like, what is happening? So what it does is it will log into my Instagram accounts that are up on my desktop. I have them logged in. So I have Kylee Ann Studios, Kylee Ann Commercial, and Kylee Ann Mom logged in. I've already told Claude what each account's purpose is and what each account's target market is. So Kylee Ann Studios is portrait, Kylee Ann Commercial is product and commercial business, that kind of stuff. And then Kylee Ann Mom is coaching for photographers. It will read all of my data. It'll see and it will look for holes in my content. It'll look for missing call to actions. It'll look for missing content. Like, for example, I had it start analyzing my Kylee Ann Mon account, and it was like, you say you have a podcast in your bio, but you don't have any podcast content being posted. And this was before I had launched the podcast that it started analyzing it. So obviously the podcast content wasn't there, but it was cool to see like, okay, you say that you do this, but you're not showing that. So it goes through my account each week, each one separately, and it says, here's your weekly audit of here's the holes missing. You're missing call to actions, you're missing hooks, you're missing this. Then it'll go through my whole algorithm feed for that account, and it'll be like, okay, here's trends that are happening on your account in your industry for this thing. So you know how each of your feeds, I don't know if you guys have multiple accounts like me, crazy, I know, but like when I log into my personal account, it's very different than logging into my Kylee Ann Studios account versus my Kylee Ann Commercial. Like it's attracting content like my content. So when I'm logged into Kylee Ann Studios, I see more photography work. When I'm on Kylee Ann Mon, it's more coaching things and business ideas and stuff like that. So it scrolls through those feeds and it tells me what kind of trends are happening in my industry, what people in my industry are looking for. And then it will take the holes that I already have on my profile and holes that they see that my industry is talking about that I'm not talking about. And it will create a whole audit and it will tell me, here's the things you're missing. Here's what's trending, and here's how we're going to execute it that week. And here is the audio you're going to use. Here's how you're going to use the audio. And what's cool is it doesn't just take the trend. Like, for example, it had a trend that, the one that's going around that's like, you're so creative. And it's like, thanks, I failed out of math. I didn't want to do that trend because first of all, I did not fail out of math. And second, like, it's just, I've seen it 1,000 times. It's no longer something that's like relevant. And, it's funny. Like it was funny the first like few times I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's funny, but now it's like, okay, it's overdone. It took that trend and it was like, how can you apply it to your industry? And I can't even remember what it said. Let me see if I have it in my notes because I'm going to do it. So it took the trend and it said, your business looks so put together. So instead of you're so creative, it's like your business looks so put together. And it's like, thanks. I used to charge $35 a session and take 10 hours to edit. And it didn't say that exactly. I had to change it to like what actually happened in my business. Obviously, that's what we have to do with all trends. Like if they give us an idea, we have to make it work and make it actually represent what actually happened. But it's showing the coaching side of my business like, oh yeah, well, I started crappy too, and let me help you kind of a thing is what it was going for. So it's cool because it takes the trends and it applies it to your actual industry instead of just taking the same trend and copying it. And so it's basically doing all the things that you want to do that you don't have time for. So then I have it set up on a schedule so that every single Sunday night it will do it. It will go through all of those accounts. It'll analyze them. It'll show the holes. It'll show the 7 days of content. And it's actually a week ahead. So if I was doing it for this week, it wouldn't show me like starting Monday morning. It would be the next Monday so that I can always be a week ahead of my schedule. It's absolutely a game changer. I actually created an ebook on how to do it because it's really complicated to set up. It's in the link in the show notes, and I'm sure you've already seen me talk about it on Instagram. But this alone has changed everything for me because now all that attraction content, all the nurture content, all the education content, instead of plugging it into my for marketing machine, which I'm still going to use, it is now just spitting out 7 days automatically Monday morning. So when I log in, I can just have Monday morning be the time that I sit down and pump out the content for the next week. And I don't have to like plug anything in or think about what I'm going to do. It's just already done. It's already done. Now, it's not as robust as the photographer marketing machine where it's like, here's the full caption, here's the whatever. So what I've been doing is if I can't think of like, okay, how would I apply this? I take their prompt or their idea and throw it into my photographer marketing machine and just expand it a little bit. Like, hey, can you add a caption for this? Or, hey, I like this idea. I didn't, here are some ways I could tweak it. Help me out, that kind of thing. So it's not 100% perfect all the time, but it saves me hours of strategy because it is finding the holes in my content and in the industry. And it's amazing. So that is the first way I've used it. That's a huge, 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 huge game changer. The second thing I did, which I think is going to be really cool for those of you guys who do have teams or want to have teams, is it started helping me with my payroll. Payroll takes me so many hours because I have to go through every single job in Honeybook and go to the payments and then go to the invoice and then take the full amount that they were paid for and then add on tip and add on travel and then divide it and make sure they're getting paid their chunk of the project plus their tip plus their travel. And every job is different. Like maybe one was discounted or maybe we added on because there's more people, or one photographer charged a different amount than another photographer or whatever. Like, it's not just like, oh, those are 4 minis. Okay, 4 minis. It's like every job I have to check the payment, the tip, the travel, all the stuff. So it takes me a really long time to do this at the end of the month. And it's something that I like to see throughout the month so I can see, okay, is my team hitting their goals? Who needs more work? Who's maxed out? Who's hit their goal? And where can I like fill in gaps and that kind of stuff? It's just kind of like a lot to keep up on throughout the month. So I usually just do it at the end of the month. But as I'm helping them hit their goals, it would be really nice to see it during the month. So what I did is, again, I use Claude Co-Work. This is how I'm using Claude Co-Work. I'm using all of my tokens on kind of these big projects, and then I'm using ChatGPT for all the daily stuff that I used to use it for. I have Claude Co-Work every single week, so Sunday night, goes through every single project for that month, and it pulls them out. It creates different sheets for each person on my team. So Abby has a sheet, Bree, Kate, Reggie, Michaela, Shelby. Everyone has a sheet, including myself, and it will take the job, and then it has different columns. So it has the project name and this session type, and then it's the total amount of the project before tax, and then the total amount of tips, the total amount of travel, and then the formula is the total amount divided by 2 plus the travel plus the tip, and then I can easily calculate it, and then it goes into my desktop. So on my desktop there's the thing that's like May payroll, and every Sunday it's updating it. So throughout the month I can see where they're at on their payroll without having to wait till the end of the month where I manually calculate everything. Now I double checked it to make sure everything was right, and it even flags stuff. It's like, hey, you have this on here but there was no invoice amount. Maybe it was like a free session. It's like it was 0, or it wasn't assigned to a photographer, blah blah blah. So it's finding like errors in our payroll too. They weren't really errors, but they could have been, but they weren't. So it's amazing because it's helped me organize my payroll. It's helped me keep it as a weekly tracker so I can make sure we're up on our goals. It saved me hours of time and just allowed me to be a better manager of my team, a better boss, a better CEO, because I can help fill in where we need to grow ahead of time instead of looking at the end of the month, oh shoot, we're way off on goals, that kind of thing. So it's really amazing for us CEOs in the room. It is going to help you so much in managing your team and helping you with those systems that are really important as you're scaling your business. Also, another thing it helped me with this week is I had it go through my Gmail and unsubscribe from any emails that I had not opened in 3 months. So if I was on like Old Navy and Old Navy sent me emails for the last 3 months and I haven't opened any of them, it unsubscribed from all of that kind of stuff. So that was huge because it really cleaned up my inbox when I wake up on a Monday morning. And, you used to have like 50 emails that were all junk. Now it's just relevant emails. And I'm like, oh, wow, I woke up with 5 emails. This is amazing. So that's great. The next thing I used it for, are you guys catching on? Like, I am really hyped about this, is my podcast prep. So it did this kind of the same thing that I've had it do for Instagram, where I've had it scan my podcast for some of my topics that I've talked about, and it has scanned the top 5 podcasts in my industry, and it's taken that data and given me ideas that people in my industry want and go along with my current content or holes that I have in my current content. Then it will give me an outline. It'll give me like a title or different title ideas that I can brainstorm, talking points I could talk about if we talked about that episode. It helps me structure that. It helps me repurpose old episodes. And then afterwards, of course, creating like the show notes and the emails and all of that, the clips that you see right now on Instagram, or if you're watching this video on YouTube, all of that is done through AI. I've just had a huge mindset shift around AI over the last few months and even few years as it's come through. I think just like when Reels was announced, it was a little bit scary. Like, oh, I don't want to talk on camera. I'm going to resist this. Like, it's going to go away. It's, whatever. Like, it's just a fad, that kind of thing. And then the longer you sit and aren't using it, you realize, okay, this is not going away. How can I use this to grow my business in a way that's authentic to me? I don't want to do certain things with Reels. I don't want to do certain things with AI. There are unethical things about AI for sure. And we've talked about that before. And there's a lot of what ifs, there's a lot of wondering, there's a lot of job loss, there's a lot going on with AI that's not cool. However, there's a lot about AI that also can really help you grow your business in ways that are really not just helpful for you and making money, but also helpful for the people you serve, whether that's your team, whether that's your clients, and both. We already have so much creativity inside of us. And so using AI to help expand that creativity, throw our ideas in and create bigger things than we could come up with on our own. Think of it as a team member that you can brainstorm with and you can grow with. For me, most of all, it just helps me execute my ideas faster. I've already been pretty fast at ideas, but this is like a game changer, like being able to have AI unsubscribing from emails while I'm at a photo shoot, or having it scan Instagram instead of me having to scroll. Now I brick my phone with this little brick that I talk about all the time at 9:30 to 9:30, so 12 hours a day, read a book, and AI will scan the feed. I hear so much like, oh, I have to be on Instagram. I have to scroll. I have to get ideas. I have to whatever, da 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 da. That has cut out the need to scroll for my business. Now, of course, I still scroll for fun, but it's at an appropriate amount of time instead of having to constantly scroll to stay relevant in the industry. Because now on Monday morning, I wake up and I have 7 ideas for 3 different accounts. So 21 different ideas that I didn't have to scroll for. AI is not replacing entrepreneurs. It is just helping us adapt and grow and become more efficient. And if you're going to resist it in your photography business, then you're going to feel like everyone's moving forward and faster than you can. People are using it for editing. They're using it for video creation. They're using it for idea generation. They're using it to even come up with mood boards and things like that. So if you're feeling afraid of AI for different reasons, or overwhelmed by it, or struggling with ethics, I want you to really stop procrastinating, moving through some of those hurdles, and look for the opportunities and the accessibility and how it improves your capacity. I think we've seen a trend over time, right? Remember when the internet was created? Some of us don't. I know some of you guys are young. I was telling my kids the other day because they were so mad. We went through the canyon and my car lost Wi-Fi. And they were like, no Wi-Fi. When are we going to have Wi-Fi? And I was like, oh my gosh. I just rolled my eyes and looked at my husband. I'm like, they would have died in our time. We did not have Wi-Fi even in our homes. We did not have Wi-Fi in our cars ever. We did not have TV in our cars. We did not have iPads. We didn't even have phones in our cars when I was a kid, right? Like our parents were just there. They didn't have anyone connected outside. We had to, use the home phone when we got home if we wanted to call someone. We had dial-up internet. It made all these sounds. You couldn't use the phone while you're on the internet. It was a whole thing. And when we got on the internet, we weren't even doing that fun of stuff. I was telling my husband, we would get on the internet to use this encyclopedia app and just look up random facts about animals. And we weren't even doing cool video games. So we went through, the internet being created, and then video games, and then social media. I remember sneaking a MySpace when I was in 8th grade, and my parents finding out, me getting grounded, never being able to go online again, that kind of thing. It was so bad, and it was, whatever. And there are bad parts about everything, right? There's bad parts about the internet, bad parts about social media, bad parts about video games, all of this stuff along the way. But there's also good. There's also good. And people who've used the tools strategically usually are able to grow and create more freedom for themselves and all of that. My dad was one of the pioneers of the internet and in online marketing. And he wrote several books about it and whatever. And he was met with a lot of resistance in his world. People were like, no, you network in person. Like, you can't network online. Like, this is bad. This is whatever. And I see that now, like with AI, I see some of those same trends. And I don't want to dismiss the ethics and the struggles that we're going to face because of it, because there are real problems to be had, just like there are with the internet. But there's also so much good, and that's what I'm choosing to focus on. Now I want to talk about 3 things I want AI to do for me in the future that I haven't set up yet that I think would be amazing. So I would love for AI to fully integrate to my business, my stats, and seeing like what's going on in my company. I want it to know my clients, my brand voice, my workflows, and proactively suggest tasks. For example, if it notices like this March, my inquiries are way down compared to last March, it sends me a message, hey, your inquiries are down 20% this month. Do you want me to graft a campaign? Do you want me to, make this marketing plan? Do you want me to figure out how to do this? I would love for it to catch trends that are up or down and providing proactive solutions to get out of that. Another thing that I would love is content repurposing. So some instant like tool where I can take a podcast or a blog post or a shoot or a voice memo and get a ton of content out of it. Blogs, reels, carousels, emails, SEO, Pinterest, YouTube, threads, just like a big overhaul of content. That would be amazing. I think that's a really great way to evolve in marketing and just kind of grow across channels without a lot of busy work. And I would also love it to create a smarter client experience. So smarter onboarding, prep guides, maybe like more individualized would be cool. I'm just dreaming. Sorting galleries with AI would be so nice. Like I'm thinking of Mother's Day where I have like every time the mom changes, put it in a different folder. How awesome would that be? That takes me so long to put 100 moms into 100 different folders. So just kind of like these little things that aren't the human connection parts, right? Just the pieces of the business that are kind of tedious and take a lot of time that could remove some of these repetitive tasks and give me more energy for the human connection and the parts of the business that I love, being with people, being with my clients. AI is not magic. It's pretty close though. It's not going to build your business for you. You still have to have the vision, the creativity, the prompts, the leadership, the ideas, and then it can become the most efficient coworker you've ever had. This is your reminder that you do not have to white knuckle your business alone anymore. You can work smarter, build systems, protect your creativity, and I'll see you next episode. Meeting is now adjourned.